Good morning and welcome to the Peorian. I'm your host, Paul Gordon. Those of us who live in central Illinois, especially those of us who have been here a long time, may have difficulty thinking of our town as a tourism center. What we have here is pretty old hat to most of us. We've been to the zoo, the museum, the riverboat, and a gambling boat. Ho-hum, right? Oh, sure, the Civic Center has brought a lot of conventions to town in its 30 years of existence, but how does that affect you or me, Peoria citizens, right? Well, actually, it affects us quite a bit. The more conventions we get to Peoria, the more money is spent here, and our economy reaps the benefits. The snowball effect means more business, more recreational opportunities, improved infrastructure, and maybe even lower property taxes. Well, in a perfect world anyway. As far as tourism goes, how many places in the Midwest have a brand new museum and visitor center for the world's top heavy equipment and manufacturer? Shoot, how many have a Bass Pro Shop store? Well, none have all of that, trust me. And all of that tends to make the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau more important than ever. The question is, who should pay for the Bureau? The Bureau's new president and CEO, Don Welch, is my guest today, and we'll talk about those issues when we come back. Welcome back to the Peorian. My guest today is Don Welch, the new CEO of the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thanks for joining us, Don.
Thank you for having me.
It would appear, sir, that we are on the verge of one of the most exciting periods in Peoria history. The new museum, Cat Visitor Center, the Hotel Pier Marquette project. We've got the expanded Civic Center. We've got Bass Pro Shops. We've got the improved zoo. I could name a lot more, but would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely. This is a very exciting time in the hospitality business. Business is strong, corporate business is strong, corporate travel is strong, leisure travel is good. We've got a lot of things going on around the area as well, not just in Peoria. So it's a very exciting time. The medical community, as you see, is expanding, more construction. The new Jump Trading Center that's being built is a very exciting project.
What is that exactly?
The Jump Trading Center is a sim center, they're calling it, a simulation center for training of doctors and nurses, medical personnel.
Almost sounds like the doctor's going to be on a trampoline or something. Jump Trading Center, I'm sorry. So how is your organization gearing up for the Museum Square Splash, which is going to be occurring around October 20th?
Mm-hmm. We actually just worked out an arrangement with both the Cat Visitor Center and the Riverfront Museum to partner with us on some marketing opportunities.
Great.
So we're working in conjunction with both of those organizations to pull that effort together. And
area hotels, no doubt, because
sure, absolutely,
they're expecting quite a few people to come into that, right?
Area hotels, restaurants, all of the attractions around the community expect a great influx of tourist travel.
Which, in your opinion, and I know you probably have to be real careful here, but which is going to be the bigger attraction in Museum Square? The museum or the Cat Visitor Center? You
know, I think they'll play very well off of each other. The Caterpillar Visitor Center will be a focus for the Caterpillar dealers and customers initially, and it will also serve the other travelers that are coming, the other leisure travelers that are coming to Peoria.
Will a person or a family be able to get through both of them in one day?
You know, I think so. It'll be a full day. We're hoping also to work with some of the other area attractions to do some package deals so that you can go to one place, maybe our website, and buy a ticket that'll get you into the Cat Visitor Center, the Riverfront Museum Center, some other attractions, possibly the zoo, Wildlife Prairie Park, other things as well.
Okay, then that was one of the things I was going to ask you about. Is that sort of package deal, does that work? Does a package deal work?
You know, I don't personally have that experience with it here in Peoria yet. Okay. It's something that you can actually go onto our website and prepare an itinerary, plan your own itinerary to go to all of the different attractions. We have links out to all of our members and their websites to be able to buy the tickets online where it's offered and put that itinerary and package together.
Should there be special discounts on package deals?
You know, I would hope to work things out to offer that. I think it would be good for everyone to be able to have that package all put together and let people plan their itinerary while they're in Peoria.
Okay. we've got coming up fairly quickly, East Peoria's new downtown.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to have some retail that people are very excited about. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be helping market that as well?
Absolutely. East Peoria is a partner of ours. They provide some funding to us, as well as a lot of the attractions and hotels and restaurants are members of the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we work very well with East Peoria, as well as Peoria and the other communities in the 8-county area that we serve.
Okay. Can you remember a time in the last 20 or 30 years where so much development has come together in such a relatively short time?
You know, I don't recall it, Paul, in the last 20 to 24 years ago when we first met, but beyond 30 years would be a little bit out of my scope.
Oh, okay. I don't know exactly what that means. Yes, we did first meet in 1988. You were involved with Peoria Civic Center at the time, and you later became the general manager of the Civic Center.
Correct.
Later on in the segment, I'm going to ask you about that experience and how that helps you here. But before I go on with that, would you classify Peoria as a strong tourist attraction now, a tourist destination?
You know, it is a strong tourist destination. We're not a Branson, we're not a market, but we do have a lot to offer in Peoria with the river coming through, all of the attractions that we offer, the wineries, all the historical opportunities that leisure travelers have in the area, the zoo, the wildlife prairie park, all of the other attractions that are available.
And more than just for the weekend traveler. If people wanted to come and spend several days, right?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And we market to those through newspaper, freestanding inserts, things that we do in the Chicago, Indianapolis, Des Moines, St. Louis markets. And it's hard to gauge the number of people that are actually coming from that, because when they check in at the hotel, they're not saying that you know, we're here because we saw an insert from Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk to Don about his goals for the organization and what we may see in the near future. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Peorian. I'm with Don Welch, the new CEO of the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Don, you've only been in the job a short time, relatively short time anyway. Because of your past, your experience, your background, former general manager of the Peoria Civic Center and then vice president of the Hotel Pier Marquette, weren't you uniquely qualified to head the Bureau?
Well, I certainly think that I've got some things to offer from those experiences. Knowing the operations of the Civic Center and the challenges there, knowing the hotel business and the challenges with those, I think it situates me to be forming collaborations between the Civic Center, the hotels, and the hospitality community. Something that I think stands some improvement.
Okay, how important was it that you had all that experience? How important is it that a person in your position now has at least some of that experience, in your opinion?
I think it's very important, especially coming into the Peoria community, having been in Peoria for the time that I have, developed a lot of relationships, not only in the hospitality community, but in the business community. So I know a lot of the people in town, and the relationships that brings with it is very beneficial to the president of the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Were any of the skill sets that you learned either at the Civic Center or the Pier Marquette more important for the job you have now than the other?
I don't know. I think it's pretty broad-based experience. As you mentioned, I went to the Civic Center in '88 as the finance director, and worked my way up to be the general manager. I was the general manager for 6 years, and that brought with it a lot of great experience. We had 12 years there of continued growth and improved bottom lines year after year. So I think that was an important part of the success that the Civic Center continues to reflect on.
You also had a year or two of experience as a general manager in St. Louis, a much larger market.
I did, at the old St. Louis Arena. I went down there in its final year of operation to run it for the last year and close it down.
How much did you learn in that one?
I learned a lot from a different market aspect, like it was an A market, and bigger players. We had the National Hockey League, so it was a fun year. We had Charlie Spoonhour, bless his soul, he's passed away now, that was coaching the St. Louis Billikens basketball team. It's a fun year.
You no doubt came into the job with certain goals, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what some of those goals were, as well as what the expectations of your bosses were?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think one of the most important goals that I have is to rebuild the team, the Peoria hospitality team.
Okay.
Back in the day, we were a threat when we went to conventions. Other communities that we competed with for conventions and for meetings, we were a formidable force. When we went to a convention as a team with the hotels, with the Civic Center and the Convention and Visitors Bureau personnel, we usually came away pretty successful. And we need to get back to that. We need to get back to all of us working together, the same goal, cooperating. And I think we're making some progress in just a short time to do that.
What happened? What caused that team to not be as formidable?
You know, it's different time, a different climate than it has been in the past, different competition. There are other communities that have developed convention centers and become very competitive, price-wise, competitive with the offerings that they have. You know, we've had some turnover at the Bureau, so there hasn't been the continuity of partnership.
Now, I know you're trying to rebuild your staff at the Bureau.
Right.
Are you anywhere near where you want to be yet?
We're getting very close. We hired Sue Atherton recently to be our Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Sue had about 20 years with the Illinois American Water Company,
right.
Recently at WEEK in a sales position. I think she's very uniquely situated for the job. Got a great skill set, very bright, and a lot of connections in the community as well. She's done a great job in the short time that she's been there. Developed some new marketing campaigns, been placing a lot of advertising. In fact, we've just purchased a billboard at I-39 and 88, which will direct people to Peoria.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a break now for messages, and when we come back, we'll talk about the funding of the Convention and the Visitors Bureau and its growing importance to the region. But first, here is our own Kevin Kaiser to talk about what's going on in the literary and culinary world.
Hey, this week you're getting 2 segments for the price of 1. The first is an abbreviated Kevin Read Stuff So You Don't Have To, and the book is Beyond the Blue Horizon by Brian Fagan, which takes a detailed look at humankind's enduring quest to master the oceans. Now, the tales of great explorers like Columbus, Captain Cook, and Gilligan are well known, but what made early generations, centuries before, take to the waters and risk their lives on the open ocean? How did the very first sailors steer by the stars and unlock the mysteries of the winds and the tides? In this book, Fagan takes a look at the first voyagers from around the world, from bamboo rafts in the Java Sea, to Norse longboats, to sealskin kayaks in Alaska. There are all kinds of interesting stories in this book, one in particular which takes place in Egypt. Pharaoh Ramses III and his archers fought off hundreds of ships of seafaring raiders seeking to settle the Nile. His advisors told him over 2,000 enemy combatants had been killed, but the pharaoh was skeptical. So to tally a percentage of the dead, military scribes piled 175 severed right hands in front of the pharaoh. But Ramses was still not convinced. After all, how could he be sure those were the right hands of men? Apparently undaunted, the scribes went back to their corpses and returned with the parts of the body that proved they were men. That's right, 175 of them, piled right next to 175 severed hands. I'll just let that steep a while. So there you go, an abbreviated Kevin Read Stuff So You Don't Have To, and the book is Beyond the Blue Horizon by Brian Fagan. Okay, now on to my second segment, Dead and Still Writing, where I take a look at a newly published book by an author who's run down the curtain and joined the bleeding choir and visible all. This week it's Mortality by the late, great Christopher Hitchens. Hitchens died in December last year after a 1.5-year battle with esophageal cancer, the same cancer that claimed his father's life. Hitchens was known as a tenacious writer with a capacity for great work in a wide range of subjects from literature and culture to politics and religion. In this book, he chronicles his struggle with cancer, detailing his new day-to-day existence with lawyers in the morning and doctors in the afternoon. Quite a change for a writer who could be found in some of the deadliest war zones in the world. But he writes thoughtfully, elegantly, and humorously, lamenting the loss of his chest hair, which he called the toast of two continents, and yet bragging about having stage 4 cancer, and with his trademark dark humor, looking down on those with lesser cancers. Because of Hitchens' incredible prose and frankness, this is a great book for anyone who is fighting cancer, in particular friends and family members. So there you have it, Beyond the Blue Horizon by Brian Fagan, and Mortality by Christopher Hitchens. 2 segments for the price of 1. Now leave me to my words.
Don Welch, the new CEO, President-CEO of the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, is my guest on the Peorian today. And we're discussing several aspects of tourism and of the Bureau itself. Don, the way the Bureau is funded has come under question in the past year. Specifically, the city of Peoria has been considering cutting its annual contribution by more than half. Is that still on the table, or has that been resolved?
We're in the final throes of negotiating new funding agreements with the city.
Okay.
The Civic Center's funding also comes into play with this equation. I think I know that our chairwoman, Cheryl West, in the previous 5 or 6, 7 months has done an excellent job of educating the council, the mayor, and the city manager on the benefits that the Bureau does provide, and the funding structure that we have. So I think there's going to be a very favorable outcome coming out shortly, but it's not resolved as yet. We're funded by the City of Peoria, the local convention tourism bureau grants that come from the state. Okay. We get funding from the other communities surrounding that we also support, as well as membership revenues from membership dues, advertising in our visitors guide, on our website, that type of thing.
There's been a suggestion made that the funding agreement between the city and the Convention and Visitors Bureau be altered. That's what you're working on?
Yes.
You were the general manager of the Civic Center when that first came to be, right?
I can be blamed for that. That was actually done in 1995. And I was part of a team that put together a long-range plan for the Civic Center at the time. It was called the 30-year plan. Okay. And at that time, business was a whole lot different. The convention business, the business climate in general was different. As I mentioned earlier, the competition from other area communities was less. At the time, the Mark in the Quad Cities was just under construction. The convention center there didn't exist. The Bloomington Normal facilities hadn't been built, as well as a number of others. So the climate has really changed, the business climate and the convention climate.
But, okay, you said it was a 30-year plan, but because of the changes that have occurred, you would agree it was outdated, it needs to be changed?
Oh, it needed to be changed several years ago.
Okay.
It's now 17 years old. The interesting thing is that the forecast of hotel, restaurant, and amusement taxes from 17 years ago to date were pretty accurate. They're pretty close to what we had forecast. But what we didn't forecast in that was the change in the business climate and the competition, the change in the convention planners and the meeting planners' requests and demands as they're bringing their events to your community.
I have heard that some people think that some of the outlying communities and counties should be giving more, contributing more than what they have been in the past, but didn't that ship sail a long time ago? I mean, are you going to be able to get?
You know, that's yet to be seen. I think, as I mentioned earlier, Cheryl West has done a great job of educating the surrounding communities in Peoria on the benefits that we provide. One of my challenges and tasks is to create relationships in those communities, find out exactly what it is that they see benefit in, that we can provide, and try to figure out how we can become more valuable to those communities.
You and I have discussed in the past that showing the benefit you provide isn't always easy for a Convention and Visitors Bureau. Isn't that true?
It is. Most of the conventions, I would say almost all of the conventions that come to town contract with the hotels for rooms. So it's pretty easy for us to get those room counts, what they call pickups, how many rooms were actually picked up on that convention. Not so for sporting events and for just leisure travel. That's much more difficult to gauge the number of rooms and also the economic impact of those.
You're working on developing a method to better.
We are, and it's a multifaceted process to do that. The sporting events, I think, will be a little bit easier than it will be for the tourists, but it will be a challenge.
Okay. I hope you've enjoyed today's program and have a better understanding of the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and how it operates. Remember that you can see this and other episodes of The Peorian on our website, thepeorian.com, including a little extra conversation that doesn't make it to this broadcast. Tune in for another episode next Sunday at 8 a.m. on WHOI TV and on our website, thepeorian.com. Have a good week.
Ooh.